But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
All right, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. What's up, guys? I'm your host, Michael Strange, and I'm here with your co-host for the evening, Paul, the New Hampshire UFO hunter. And we like to say hello to all of you who have troubled minds. Sorry, reading some messages here. And this show's live, and of course, this show is the show where we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. This show's live. Like I said, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and D-Live. I think Fringe is down right now. Still working on that. Got a message out to Joe. So hopefully we can get back on Fringe. Like I said, we're going to do like last night, and we'll roll with the radio clock and the commercials and stuff, just like we always do, just in case we get that locked in, so we're right on time with everybody else. And but otherwise, that's what's going on tonight. We got a guest here. We've got Paul from New Hampshire, and we are going to be discussing all kinds of things. We're going to be discussing the ancient alien theory, and like that's one of those things that actually gets kind of gets a lot of crap from the media, but it also I think there's if you think about it and you really kind of delve deep into history a little bit and pay attention and with an open mind, I think there's also going to be some merit in there. It just depends, right? Of course, not every single thing that ever happens is ancient aliens, but I think let's say this. By completely ruling it out, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. But okay, let's say hi to Paul. What's up, Paul? Are you there, buddy? Can you hear me? Testing 1 2 1 2 test 1 2. What's up, Paul? Are you there? What is going on? We just did a sound check, and it was loud and clear, and he was coming through fine, and he could hear me, and now he cannot hear me at all. Paul. All right, let's see. Okay. Here, say something. Say something. All right. So I'm trying to connect with Paul here, having technical issues, but that's what's on deck tonight. So what we're doing is we are discussing ancient astronaut theory, and of course, you know, it has its beginnings, of course, in many places actually. Some people even state the Bible, and prior to that, right? So most recently, the thing that got kind of started the ball rolling with this whole ancient aliens bit on TV and all the rest of that was, of course, Eric von Daniken and his book Chariots of the Gods, right? Which of course describes all kinds of things, specifically that maybe the actual things that were in the sky, you know, that ancient people saw as angels, they could only describe in the context of themselves and the things they knew. So, you know, Giorgio Tsoukalos, the guy with the big hair, he actually, you know, has been stated to say there were, you know, helicopters back then or things like this, like helicopter type contraptions. And so they would actually be, you know, misinterpreted by ancient people because they just didn't know what a helicopter would be. So they would call it a chariot of the god, right? Meaning some sort of flying device or, you know, something that they could actually be part of here, you know, to understand. Paul, are you there? Paul, test 1, 2. You should be good, man. I've got you completely unmuted. Everything's fine. I don't know what you did, bro. You pushed some buttons or something, because if you can't hear me and I can't hear you, we have issues, because everything was good. What's up, buddy? What's up? Say something, Paul. Paul, say something. All right, we're going to continue trying to connect with Paul here. I promise we did a sound check before we started. I don't know what the hell happened, but what's up, guys? So anyway, as we continue talking about this, like I said, we're currently not on Fringe. I don't know what's going on. Technical issues for sure. Other than that, I don't have details. But we're going to just keep on trucking here, and as hopefully we get connected with that, we will end up back on there. So for the time being, we're just going to do like we normally did in the old days, and we're going to just keep with radio time. So just FYI to the folks that are just showing up tonight, that's what's going on. And we've got lots of folks in the chat, so I'll do the same thing, and I'll say hello to you guys at the bottom of the hour when we take a break. Paul, are you there? Test 1, 2. I think we have to do the Earth to Mars, do the Ash thing. Earth to Mars, are you there, Paul? What's up, Paul? Oh my goodness gracious. Let me make sure I didn't break something. Hold on. Excuse me, guys. Just one moment, please. Live shows, technical issues, you know how things are. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. I think that's what makes the live part so charming, is that you just never know what the hell's going to happen. Really? You've got nothing? You can't hear me at all? There's a problem there, because we're piping loud and clear. Loud and clear. Let's see. Unmute. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so trying to get this working. We literally were talking 15 minutes ago as we tested this. Anyway, all right. So that's what we're doing tonight, and we'll get that discussion going, and let's see what happens here. And we've got again we got Paul on deck. We're going to go to him in just a sec. But I didn't mention that since we are live, we're taking your phone calls tonight. So if you want to be part of the show, I think I've fixed the Discord issues as far as the telephone. We'll see. I did some tweaking last night, and I think there was a noise gate to bore you with technical details, like a native Discord noise gate that was chopping out the phone to the Discord. Anyway, just I think I got that fixed, but we'll see. We're about to find out. What's up, guys? All right, so we'll get started here with as we're still waiting for Paul to get this figured out. We had it. Let's see. Try that. I don't know what's going on with Paul. Okay, so anyway, that's what's up. So that's what we're talking about, the ancient astronaut theory, and basically all of it. You know how we do. It's, we could do the deep dive and do the Zachariah Sitchin and do that. We've done that before. It's more of like the kind of what the theory is, and basically whether you guys believe it. Because as you know, this is not the answer show. I'm not here to tell you it's real or it's fake or it's somewhere in between. Like, I can see how it could be completely phony or it can be completely real. It just kind of depends on the reality you live on, right? You live in. And I think that's part of what makes the conversation so fascinating. But okay, so let's get started here as we're still trying to figure out Paul. But let's start here. Let's start with the Ministry of Truth. The Ministry of Truth, which is this. Of course, that would be Wikipedia, right? The Ministry of Truth. So here we go. Let's start with this, and let's see what they say. Because I think if if you do, if you want like the propaganda aspect of everything, like a good place to start is Wikipedia, because, well, like, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know about that, but I think it's a good place to start if you want the debunkers version of everything, right? Which is, of course, clearly not real life, because, well, nothing really is like in a like to take one slice of an entire reality and go with that. But anyway, so here we go. So ancient astronauts, right, or the ancient astronaut theory refers to the idea, and it says right here in the first paragraph, often presented in a pseudo-scientific way, that intelligent extraterrestrial beings visited Earth and made contact with humans in antiquity and prehistoric times. Now, proponents suggest that this contact influenced the development of modern cultures, technologies, religions, and human biology. A common position is that deities from most, if not all, religions are extraterrestrial in origin, and that advanced technologies brought to Earth by ancient astronauts were interpreted as evidence of divine status by early humans. Test 1, 2. Paul, are you there? Polly, let's get this working, buddy. What's going on? What's up? Test 1, 2. What's up, buddy? Try the phone, man. I don't know. He says he can't even hear me. That's a problem. That's a problem. Let's see. Hold on. Still trying to get Paul on the show. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Ancient astronaut theory, and basically, right. So again, did Earth in ancient times make some sort of contact with aliens in any capacity whatsoever? And so that's really what we're talking about here. And, Giorgio Tsoukalos, of course, the guy with the big hair, the meme, of course, it's aliens or whatever. Like that guy, he's basically become famous as a result of this entire thing. They say that he ran this magazine called Legendary Times, but I tried to find the magazine myself, and basically it was a web forum called Legendary Times, where there's a bunch of people kind of talking about the aliens and stuff. And I don't know, like, does that count as a magazine? I guess we basically live in a time where you get to just make your own credentials, right? And so that's kind of cool. I mean, like, not that you have to have a PhD in everything to kind of be definitive, right? But I mean, anyway, what's up, Paul? You there? Paul, testing 1, 2. Okay, it's much harder to troubleshoot technology and do a live show at the same time, but let's see. Try switching. Let's see. All right, here we go. Sorry, guys, bear with me for just a second. We're going to get going. We are taking your phone calls, though. If you have a take on this, if you want to get us kicked off, that would be great. If anybody's out there listening, what do you think about this ancient astronaut stuff? Does it, like, what is your first impression of this? Watching the series, of course, that's super famous, and beyond that, do you think that there's any merit to this? I think that's what the conversation is tonight. It's like I said, I'm not going to try. It's not my job really to convince anybody of anything. It's leave that to other people. Like this is kind of for us to get together and discuss these things and try and figure it out. Try and put some evidence out there and dissect it or not, and have a good time. Let's see, what do we got? Let's see, not authorized to send messages in Discord. I don't know what that means because nobody should have that status. Oh, geez. What's with all the tech issues tonight? Literally everything is broken. What's going on? Paul, can you hear me? Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Okay. All right. Well, all right. So as we try and work this stuff out, that's what we're talking about tonight. And I don't know, like to me, right? So I see this in a couple ways, right? So just my opinion here to start on this, and give you where my thoughts are regarding ancient aliens, the show and the theory and the rest of this, is I think that the show itself and the fact that it's kind of become part of the zeitgeist and is really blown up. It's got a pretty large reach, and like I said, not that you can really count dollars and say that that's the way that the world works. I mean, it kind of does, but it also kind of doesn't. Just because people pay money for something doesn't mean it's great. But it's on the History Channel, and it's made Tsoukalos a wealthy man, right? So at least there's reach there. So there's interest. In some capacity. Test 1, 2. Paul, are you there? Test 1, 2.
Hey.
Holy crap.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. What happened, man? What happened?
I don't know. I've been sitting in the on-air booth and nothing, and then I went back to the phone and I even rebooted, and it was just nothing but blank, Mike.
Goodness gracious!
They don't want us to hear. They don't want people to hear us. That's what's happening. Let's go with that.
Yeah, we can go with that. I'm not sure that's accurate, but we'll go with that. All right, so let's. Okay, so everybody knows Paul. If anybody's been listening to this show for any amount of time, you know Paul. This is the New Hampshire UFO hunter. Welcome to the show, my friend. You want to tell people a little bit about yourself as we get started after the start, which is kind of cool.
Oh. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, guys. I've studied this stuff my whole life, kind of probably like some of the people out there, and just find things interesting and tend to lead towards that path that may be a little strange. And that's why I'm into this stuff. And it's a good subject tonight. I know a little bit about it, quite a bit, actually. But with that being said, not much more to know about me other than I'm just a regular guy that has a band. I'm a musician. I'm a Pisces. And, and
do you like long walks on the beach?
Well, I do, but I like a fishing pole instead of a girl with me.
Okay,
so just so you know.
Gotcha. Fair enough. All right, so that's a good a start as any. Let's get going with this then. So I was basically kind of starting with the my initial thoughts on ancient astronauts, and so I'll continue with that just so you can hear it now. I know you couldn't hear me before, so. What I was saying is that my mind is in a couple places with it. So the reach that Giorgio Tsoukalos in that show has kind of garnered in the past several years, right? It's been several years now, maybe like a decade. They've been on for quite some time.
10 years.
Yeah, something.
10 years. 13 seasons.
Yeah. Damn, that's a long time. So to me, a couple things. Like, I think it's good in this capacity that even though a lot of the things they say on there are probably sketchy, right? Like most of the stuff they say is probably going to be sketchy because they try and stretch everything into the same umbrella. But I get it. They're trying to make a case, and I understand. So the good part to me is that they're really making people kind of look back at some things that they took for granted and maybe ask some different types of questions. Even if it doesn't change people's minds, it opens their mind to other possibilities, right? So I think that's a good thing with the reach. The bad thing, in my opinion, with the ancient astronaut theory and the show itself is that where do you begin? In the same hand they try and make everything ancient aliens, right? It's like the meme, right? With the Tsoukalos and the big hair. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens, right? And so it also kind of sheds like kind of a crappy light on the whole subject, only because I think that there's enough ridicule as it is, but then when you get guys that are literally trying to say every single thing in the history of the past history was aliens, I don't think it does a credit to an actual disclosure movement. You know what I'm saying? Those are just my initial thoughts of the whole kind of the not just the theory itself, but then the way it's been presented in the media, which of course is Ancient Astronauts and the Ancient Aliens show. So I don't know. What are clearly you can agree or disagree. It's all good. What do you think? What are your initial thoughts regarding maybe not Von Daniken? We'll get to that guy in a little bit, but just kind of like the modern zeitgeist version of what Ancient Aliens means to kind of the random common person, right? Not a ufologist, just a random person.
Well, it's funny because I think this is going with everything right now, Mike. You said it perfectly, this zeitgeist thing that, okay, there's plenty of evidence here. And for anybody that wants to truly study it, yeah, there's going to be that disinformation campaign. And this is kind of where society has gone with these things. But with that being said, when you take the media and they twist things around, they drag it out, they're getting ratings. And that's the bottom line. They've got moved from Sunday nights to Friday nights. And, it's moving around constantly to get better ratings. And this is how, media works. And also, when you write a book, you got to come up with more stuff. You got to come up with information that's going to keep people interested, whether it's worthy or not. And I think you had mentioned Von Daniken. The whole key to this was he asked the questions. And now you have a lot of people that are taking advantage of this, just like everything. And so we're getting to the point where now it's a disinformation campaign, if you want to call it that. I don't think it really truly is. But it's going to continue. And I think also the fact is that it's been going on for so long. It's call it the breadcrumb trail. For everything we look at, no matter what we look at in the news, in politics, in sports, there's always something going on. I mean, who watches the Kardashians? You get what I'm saying here. So you're just going to have this thing going where it's an education process that's slowly happening. And this is my theory on this. And those breadcrumbs are left in between for anybody to look at. And the smarter people might see those breadcrumbs in a different sense than other people do. And there's always going to be a naysayer. And I think we'll probably get into that as the show goes on.
Yeah, I mean, well, and the problem I have with most of this stuff as just as a conversation is labels, you know? Like I just don't think it's necessary that the world tries to label everybody and everything, right? And that's part of the whole division politics we're always talking about. And it also goes for the UFO community. And so, you know, like it's to me, it's okay. I think you should be a skeptic and a naysayer. I think you should be a believer as well. I think you should be all of those things, just depending on the evidence presented to you. And if you don't know, it's okay to say, I don't know, you know, but I've thought about it and I'm not sure yet. That's cool. I mean, isn't that really like the human journey? Like I'm thinking about it and I'm not quite sure yet, right? I mean, that would.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Mike. Yeah, it's what it is. We should be skeptics first, by all means. And you know, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I'm crazy. Okay, well, you know what? I know a lot of smart people that have looked at these things and always thought I was crazy. And then when you show some of this evidence in the right lights, without shoving the show Ancient Aliens down their throat or whatnot. But, you know, read the book. Yeah, you can do what you want. I think it's that bright mind that eventually sees something that raises a question that may be harder than normal or scientifically unavailable information here. And there's things here that are really interesting that you can take it and wrap it up into a little piece of pie and eat it, and you're going to either swallow it and take it in, or you're going to do other things. Are you going to reject it, or you might even go into the point where you're in denial? And I think that has a lot to do with what you're doing now. A lot of people out there are in denial because of fear of ridicule. Exactly what you said, fear of being labeled. And I think we need to talk about these things in order for us to figure out what actually is going on.
Yeah, well, and like, again, just like, don't, clearly, guys, anyway, like that's literally one of the main the main premise of this show, one of them anyway, is that we don't have to be labeled. We don't have to be whatever they want to tell us we are. We get to be individuals. And that's it. That's the reality of the situation. And so, yeah. Anyway, just a great follow up there. I appreciate it, my man. So as you know, we're doing the thing. So I don't know. We're not on Fringe currently. We'll do like last night. If something fixes or doesn't fix, I'll try and give Joe a call here on the commercial break real fast while we're doing this as well. But we're going to do the commercials bottom of the hour, top of the hour, like we always do. So I'll say hi to chat in just a sec. So what we'll do, Paul, just so you know, is we'll mute you up for about 5 minutes as we roll the break time, and then we're still staying on the radio clock. I let you know that before, I just to make sure we're all clear and we're on the same page. But as a result of that, let's play some music here, and let's talk about what else we're doing tonight. Broadcasting live, of course, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and D-Live. We're taking your phone calls. The way to reach us is by dialing this phone number right here, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org, and we're just here doing our thing. We're talking about ancient aliens tonight, that ancient astronaut theory, and what does it mean? So not just, we'll get into the nuts and bolts a little bit of Eric Von Daniken and some other stuff, but what is your initial impression? Everybody out there listening, of the ancient astronaut theory, do you think it's a bunch of BS? Do you think there's some reality to it? Do you think it's somewhere in between? That's where the conversation is. That's what we're doing tonight. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back after the break. More Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. We're here with Paul, the New Hampshire UFO hunter, and we will be right back. right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here tonight with your co-host for the evening. This is Paul, the New Hampshire UFO hunter, and we are talking about the ancient astronaut theory. And so the question is, of course, as you know, this is a question show. This is not the answer show. Do you believe this stuff? Meaning that, do you believe the narratives that are being spun by the show Ancient Aliens and the producers of the show, specifically Giorgio Tsoukalos, the big hair guy? Everybody knows him, you know, the meme. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens, right? How do you feel about all this stuff? Do you think it helps, people become aware of the situation with, actual UFOs, or do you think it maybe kind of dilutes the situation and turns it into more of a mess because of all the misleading claims they make? Like I said, I sit kind of in between there with my opinion for a couple reasons, but we'll continue to talk about that as we go. But welcome back to the show, Paul. Can you hear me? Test 1, 2, buddy.
Yeah, you hear? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So we kind of concur in that it's there's probably some good stuff with this, kind of some bad stuff with this. Lazy Guy X had a great point here in the chat. He says, regarding Ancient Aliens, I think it started out real, but then the money and fame got good, and they started with the BS stuff. And I think that's probably pretty well said. It's difficult to really. Once people start making money at stuff, that's when you, in my opinion, you can kind of tell, if they have the best interest in mind, right? Of basically the message or whatever it is they're doing, like you can, you can jump the shark, as they say, right? Like the Fonzie thing, you can jump the shark, if you remember, if anybody's old enough to remember that term. Or you can just kind of stay true to the form and keep trying to find new information that's compelling and, present it in a entertaining way. I think all that is possible to do without literally saying everything's aliens, But, so who knows? Who knows? Your thoughts on that, Paul?
It's funny you say that, Mike. I'm watching something that Mr. Mission Control put up on the feed right now, and it's a bunch of pictures of ancient alien theory. I think we have to look at this as the way we have to look at everything right now, especially what's happened in the last year. And that, it's so easy to fall into this trap of, okay, there's information here, but then continue to watch it and get turned around and confused, and that's the key to disinformation. That's to confuse you, and it doesn't only work with the ancient alien theory. Let's face it, by the way, there's only so much information about ancient aliens, so we have to drag this out to continue to make money, like Lazy Guy X is saying about this. And guys like Tsoukalos and all of these guys, there's some are better than him, some are worse than him, are going to take advantage of that. And what I got to say is welcome to capitalism. This is the way the world works. So when you have something that is of interest that's going to make money, that's, there's got to be a reality here. And I look back to things that have happened with Bigfoot and all the other things that have happened, werewolves, vampires. If you go to the library right now, there's a lot of books about ancient aliens and UFOs, for that matter, the whole extraterrestrial scenario, and it's going to keep going, whereas those other things tend to lead to a dead-end road because the Loch Ness Monster was a piece of wood floating in a lake, and they pretty much proved that. And if you believed it, then, this is part of the problem, too, is that you believe these things, and why they do this is to take your mind away from the real facts. And when you see that fake evidence, is to think, well, if this is fake, then everything I thought must be fake. So it's a tough thing to go through when you're talking about these things.
Yeah, well, I mean, and like you said, this is the way the world works. But you can kind of double down and do some more good work, or you can just slather on the BS and not.
Well, what are you going to do? You want a paycheck, Mike? Because if everybody told the truth, we'd have lower gas prices right now, and I'm not going to go there. If you look at what's happening to the world right now, it seems we have a population problem, and it's because of global warming. So, is the ancient alien theory just being subjected to the same politics that everything else has. I know one thing. I read books when I was a kid, and now the kids have got their faces in phones. So nobody's looking at the pyramids, by the way, unless they're following guys like you and I, and then thinking about these things. And that's why you have to look at the breadcrumbs to get to the real matters. Is there any way that you can say that these people should be pat on the back for doing what they're doing? Probably not, unless you look back at the original guys. And I think that's what you were kind of going to go to, as at one point, even these guys knew and admitted, well, I might not be completely right, but they asked the question, and yeah, now you're right. Some of this stuff is getting shoved down our throat, and a lot of it is bunk. And that's to keep people confused.
Yeah, that's an interesting there. So then in some capacity, it could be considered like a psyop then, right? Like an actual information operation where kind of like the data dumping, where if you put enough information out there, it just kind of floods the real information with a bunch of fake stuff. And so as a result of that, nobody knows what's what anymore because they're all arguing over minutia of all the information, right? So it could be, I mean, like if we're really being, a super tinfoil hat here, we do that sometimes, but we're not always like that. Like I always say, there are conspiracies everywhere, but it doesn't mean everything is a conspiracy. And that's what kind of lines up with this show, is getting together and talk about these things and considering, am I being fooled here? And if I am, why? Right? And then if I'm being fooled, what is the truth of this? So let's get to where this entire thing really started, which was, of course, like you can probably go back to Zecharia Sitchin and the Sumerian tablets, which is basically an entirely other show. If you guys, again, we're doing this live, guys, on DLive, YouTube, and Facebook. If you want to be part of the show, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link. Join the show that way as well. But basically, not Zecharia Sitchin, because, again, like I said, that's an entire thing. But if you guys have takes on that and you want to talk about that and include it as part of this tonight, like I said, it's your show too. But let's start with Eric von Daniken. Let's start with that guy. What do you know about that guy and the Chariots of the Gods? Have you ever actually read that book? I haven't myself.
Actually, yes, Mike. And I'm going to be honest, the first thing that happened to me was I was a young kid, and my father took me to a movie about UFOs, and that's how I got interested in it. Von Daniken wrote his book in 1968, which just happened to be the year that I was born. And not long after that, I believe it was 72, 73. You can find this, by the way, on Amazon. They did a movie about it. And I saw the movie first, because, like I said, my dad was into the paranormal, even though he would not admit it. And I wound up watching the movie, and then I read the book. And then years later, after I took this interest, it started becoming relevant again. And I actually saw the very first episode of Ancient Aliens the day it debuted. Out of just pure coincidence, I was sitting at home. I like watching History Channel, and I flipped it on, and I was like, what is this? I saw it on the guide and recorded it, and I actually started watching it when it started. That minute, I was like, I got to see this, and it went right there. And this was, again, 10 years ago, a decade ago. I had already had this mindset, and I had already talked about these things. And at this point, I was already doing, also speaking at colleges about this before the show came in. So it was very interesting to me that it kind of went mainstream. And, don't want to backtrack, but look where it went. So it was taken seriously for this section in 2004. Again, kind of reborn from the 60s and 70s, which, by the way, he was ridiculed. He got dragged under rocks. Everybody thought he was nuts, and he still stood true to what he thought and said, and was fortunate enough to be able to go to these places that we're going to eventually talk about here, because that's, I think, the main evidence of the ancient theory, and that's the megalithic structures. And that's pretty much what that book was about. And then he continued to write books, even though he got dragged down, ridiculed. And and it all started for him by being a religious person. He was a very religious person. He was being taught in schools about religion and studying religion. And that's kind of what clicked to him. He kept seeing all the same stories in different religious books that became about gods that were coming down from, of all places, the sky. And then it kind of snapped for him, just like I think it does for a lot of people when you start to study this. It clicked in his mind, well, there's got to be something going on here. So he started studying these megalithic structures and these texts, including what Zecharia Sitchin wrote about, and basically came to the conclusion that, well, there's something weird going on here. And I think not only did he come to that conclusion, but he proved it, and that's why it's still being talked about today.
Yeah, at least kind of looking at history from a different perspective, right? And even if you think a lot of the things he's said in the past, and they put on the show, remember, once you put things on TV, guys, if you're not like kind of grossly misrepresenting things, it's not entertaining. Nobody's there to like hear, like here you read a science report. You know what I mean? Nobody's there for that. And like nobody, even the Discovery Channel doesn't do that stuff. You know what I mean? They're trying to catch like the perfect shot of the frog leaping in the air as the snake jumps out and catches him in the air. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, yeah. Like how often do you think that happens in nature? If we're being real, right? It's probably extremely rare. And they probably spent hundreds or thousands of hours trying to catch that one perfect shot, right? To sell the entire thing when they're, kind of trying to doll up science and make it exciting and interesting. And many times people don't care. Like people don't want to hear that stuff. People want to hear the out there theories, the out there takes, and the rest of this. But okay, so let's get back to this. So you did read Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Daniken, and that was back in 1968. So what is your impression of the book itself then? So it did kind of change your life a little bit, or nah? You were like, in between?
Oh, I was absolutely dumbfounding to me when I first read the book, and it was the movie first. And by the way, I was born in '68, so I was probably around 5 or 6 years old when the movie came out and saw it, and even then, I was also pretty smart, and I had a little library going of what it was. I liked sharks, but then I asked my mom, I got to read this book. And it kind of, I wouldn't say changed my life, but really made me think about what he was talking about. And there were other things that were happening too, with a UFO sighting that had happened around the 70s that my mother had and other people had saw. And it was simple for me to go to the conclusion, well, there's something weird going on here. So that's when it helps my fascination for this grow. And of course, you're looking at a 7-year-old kid, and here I am at 53, and I have a YouTube channel and all these things that never went away. It just grew throughout the years. And yeah, he was one of the people that, I'd like to consider the one that put me on the path. One of them, definitely.
Okay, so in any case, definitely influential in some capacity, which is good. I like that. So here's the thing, right? Again, written in 1968, Eric von Daniken wrote what was called Chariots of the Gods, right? So here we go from, this is from UFO Insight. This is written by a good friend of ours, actually. He's been on the show. He was actually on this show, our very first guest ever, by the name of Marcus Louth. Check him out at UFO Insight. He also has his own website as well called Me Time for the Mind. But check this out. So he said this, right? This is from his article about ancient aliens, the ancient astronaut theory, right? He said, in this book, von Daniken would argue that many ancient texts, legends, religious writings, and even creation myths all pointing to some kind of alien intervention with humanity at some stage in the distant past. In fact, so significant was the intervention from unknown extraterrestrials that the encounters would result in the eventual creation of many of the world's major religions, and more specifically, the gods that were worshipped because of them. I just have a hard time again saying everything's aliens, but that's kind of the premise of some of this stuff. Is that I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens, right? And that's kind of the deal. So is there any? I know you're very familiar with this. You've seen a bunch of those episodes. You've read into this. You've been looking at this for a very long time. Is there any compelling evidence you think, other than, we'll get to the monoliths later on, but otherwise? So some people have suggested that at some point in human history, our DNA was actually changed by some sort of extraterrestrial intervention, right? Have you seen anything that really reminds you that that's possible, or do you think that's just huge extrapolating who knows what from here to there?
I think there's actually probably a lot of evidence for that, and it starts with the lost civilizations and the missing link, the dinosaurs being killed, this backwater planet that winds up having hominids grow up on it. They get to the point that, I hate to quote people, but Tsoukalos said it. One day we're eating bananas, the next day we're building pyramids. And how did this happen? And then you go into the other texts and everything. So that's why it's such a good subject and so easily to get off track and then roll into, I saw one show that talked about the presidents. Yeah, could there have been influence? Who knows? But the evidence for this DNA change that happened is kind of written in fossils and these lost civilizations. What happened? Where did they all go? These were highly intelligent civilizations that came out of nowhere that were studying, of all things, the stars. And the naysayers will say, well, that's all they had to look at. We have the stars to look at today, and we're looking at our phones. So, but they knew more about the stars. The Mayans knew more about the stars than we do now, and they're gone. And so, yeah, I think it's just kind of common sense that we've evolved so quickly in such a short period of time that there had to be some kind of intervention. And then if you go to the texts and believe all the different ideologies or theories or beliefs, the facts is that von Däniken saw that too, and that's why he came to this conclusion and started talking about there must have been manipulation here by the gods, and talks about it in the texts. They talk about angels coming down and mating with humans. And do I think it was divine or divinity or God? If there's one whole holy God that controls everything, this whole universe we live in, it makes more sense to me that maybe he created those aliens that came here and made it with those humans, because when you look at that evidence, it seems more likely we didn't just pop up after the dinosaurs. I've always said that in Sunday school. What about the dinosaurs? That's always the guy they didn't like in Sunday school, by the way.
That doesn't surprise me a bit. And I mean that in the nicest way. All right, check this out. This is from ancient-code.com. And so here's one, right? The headline here is Scientists Find Alien Code Embedded in Human DNA and Evidence of Ancient Alien Engineers, right? And so I'll read just a little bit so you can kind of get exactly what we're talking about. Now, researchers who worked for 13 years in the Human Genome Project indicate that they came across an amazing scientific discovery. They believe that the so-called 97% of non-coding sequences in the human DNA is nothing less than the generic code of extraterrestrial life forms. Originally referred to as junk DNA, its function remained a mystery for researchers. Now researchers believe that our DNA is extraterrestrial in origin. And notice, like many of these, they don't really say who just yet. But when you say scientists believe that this is the thing, and as we say, kind of narrative building. But anyway, this continues. After extensive analysis with the help of other researchers in diverse fields such as mathematics, chemistry, and programming, Maxim A. Mukakov of the Frenskov Astrophysical Institute have ventured out and asked whether there's a possibility that what we call junk DNA is actually some sort of extraterrestrial code created by an alien programmer. And according to researchers from Kazakhstan, our hypothesis is that a more advanced extraterrestrial civilization was engaged in creating new life and planting it on various planets. Earth is just one of them. So there we go. That's, again, like I said, I like sources and I like doing this, but I want to make sure that you guys know I'm not just flippantly making this stuff up to talk narratives. Okay, that's not why we do this. So the question is, do you believe this stuff? That's really the question here. So Okay. All right. 1 sec. Give me just a sec. So comments on that. We got maybe a couple minutes before we got to take a quick break. So your thoughts on that. So do you think, like I don't know. That seems like a pretty huge claim of scientists saying that junk DNA is from aliens, right? I think that's probably a little wide in scope there.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? I love the junk DNA theory, to be honest with you. And I always kind of go to this rhetoric with that. If we're so much better than every other creature that evolved on this planet, why aren't dolphins, who have bigger brains and are pretty intelligent, smoking cigarettes and walking down the street getting a drink? And that's pretty much sums it up, because this is a real thing going on. We have different strands in our DNA. So do I believe this? I think it's more evidence that we need to look at that's already kind of been proven, by the way, that every animal has DNA, and they've taken plenty of DNA samples from all the species all across the planet, including fish, insects, mammals, whatever you want to talk about. We have apes, and human beings have this strand of DNA that nothing else compares to, and they can't figure out why. So that's why they call it junk DNA, because they don't know what it is. And the only thing that really makes sense is that this is intelligent design. And, speaking of intelligent design, let me end there, because I've got something that might blow your mind about the intelligent design, even though most of the people out here probably know it. I think it's another thing that when you put this all together and add it to the breadcrumb pile, it gives it valid notoriety.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do that right after we come back from the break here, because nothing like a good cliffhanger. So keep that scratch down a note for me that we're going straight to that right after we come back. Can you remind me? Because I've kind of got a goldfish brain and I forget these things. But you dropped a cliffhanger and a teaser, so intelligent design, junk DNA. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But if you guys are just joining us, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We are here with Paul, the New Hampshire UFO hunter, and we're talking ancient aliens tonight. And again, not just the theory itself, of course. We're going to get into some of that, but we're also discussing the show and the propaganda and the zeitgeist and how it's such a popular show. Do you think it's detrimental to a disclosure movement because of some of the junk science they throw in there, or and some would claim all of it's junk science, or do you think that by getting people to kind of look at things through a new lens, whether they believe it or not, is kind of good for a disclosure movement at large? That's the question tonight. That's what we're talking about, and I hope those are the types of things you enjoy, because those are the types of things we talk about here at Troubled Minds. So we are taking your phone calls. So if you have a hot take on this, or you believe one thing or the other, it's all good. Again, this is non-judgmental. We are non-denominational here, and you're allowed to believe what you want, and I'm not going to try and change your mind. So that's what a good conversation entails. And I always believe that that's what we're trying to do here. So if you want to be a part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And you can be part of the show that way. You can also join the Discord, which is how we're talking to Paul from New Hampshire tonight. He's on the Discord with me. And you can also be on the show that way. You can find the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And come say hi. Come say hi. We had a lot of first-time callers last night, looking for some more tonight. If you guys have never called in, maybe tonight's your night. But let's take a quick break. So here's the thing. I just got word that the Fringe FM is down, and it doesn't look to be back soon. So meaning tonight, at least during this show. So what we're going to do is we'll just we don't have to pretend like it. We'll just play a little bit of music, go out, and then we'll come back in. So we don't have to take full breaks tonight. We're just hanging out doing our thing. So I'm going to play some music, and we'll be right back. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, here with Paul, the New Hampshire UFO hunter. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. Hey, Paul, if you want to take a break, stretch your legs or something, feel free, man. We'll take a couple minutes here.
All right, brother. All right, cool.
All right, cool. All right. Here we go. Let's just kick it. Let's go straight, skip the commercial break, and let's just say hi to the chat. Hang out for a second. What's up, guys? I see lots of folks out there in the chat. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight. What do we got? Who am I missing? What's up? Kelly says, dolphins are smarter than humans. I think dogs are, too. Let's see. Vicky says, nope. They don't know what it is. It must be aliens. Exactly, right? Exactly. What's up, Andy? I see you there. Eric, thanks for showing up. Larry, what's up? How you guys doing? We got Josh. We got Okay. Is that how you say it? Okay. How you guys doing? Paul from Newcastle. Joe Public. What's up, guys? I see you there. All right, so what we're going to do here is kill the music and then start this over like we're starting over. There we go. Let's do it. Looking to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. Here is your top of the hour reboot. Here we go.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
All right, good evening and welcome back to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are here tonight with the New Hampshire UFO hunter. He goes by the name Paul, and he has a YouTube channel. Please go follow him. And tonight we're talking about ancient aliens and the show, the theory, the ancient astronaut theory, and all the rest of that stuff. And of course, we're doing it live to include you. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and D-Live, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and you can be part of the show. Join the Discord at troubledminds.org, the official website, and welcome back to the show, Paul. What's up, buddy? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mike. Yeah, good conversation, brother.
Nice. Loud and clear. Do you hear the music as well?
No, I don't hear the music, but that's okay.
Okay, all right. That's cool.
I can hear you.
All right, as long as you can hear me. I only ask because it might affect phone calls, and we've got a phone call coming in. So we're discussing ancient aliens tonight, and we'd love to hear your take on this. Lots of ways to look at this, I think. The message itself, the television show, and all the rest of that. So we're going to kind of cover a bunch of that. But I was supposed to be reminded by Paul when we got back that we're going to touch on junk DNA and intelligent design. So don't let that go away. We're doing that next, okay? But first, we're taking this phone call.
Oh.
You with me? All right. Just make sure. All right, let's go.
I can hear you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sounds good. I can turn up my TV. I got you on the background, so I can turn up my TV if I can't hear the caller. I'm just like a second behind.
Gotcha. Okay, sweet. So here we go. Let's go to, cool. This is Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, my friend? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Paul. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm enjoying the show. It's
nice.
One of my favorite topics.
Nice.
I just want to put some of my own beliefs forward here. I think the history of the whole planet is the history of aliens. That's where civilization got developed. I'm thinking in terms of where the aliens came from and contemporary times. All right, why they came here versus, in contrast to current situations in the world. All right, I think that on Mars is where they came from. They destroyed the planet. I think the aliens that originally left Mars and came to Earth were billionaires many times over. A Martian Musk, a Martian Bezos, a Martian Gates, a Zuckerberg. The only ones that could afford to escape that planet because they destroyed the planet. Because, there was greed on Mars as we're going through contemporary greed today. And they came down, all right? Of course, the dinosaurs were long gone when they came down here, but they are also billionaires who couldn't do work. They were, they could think, but they could not do work with their hands because those people were left to die on Mars. All right, so they had to round up, let's say, the Neanderthals, all right, and through mind control, get those Neanderthals to do the work that they needed done. All right, they still had their interesting equipment, their anti-gravity devices and things like that. There was no way they could build the kind of factories they had on Mars, on this planet, all right, because they didn't have, at least an advanced workforce, intelligent workforce to do that type of thing. So that's why everything's stone, all right. They were able to put together the pyramids and everything else simply with their anti-gravity devices. Right, their laser cutters, whatever. The whole thing is not complicated. History is repeating itself now. Now we have Musk and Bezos and Gates. They're all interested in getting off this planet because their kind has destroyed it. Matter of fact, these very people may actually be the direct descendants of the original billionaires that escaped from Mars and came to Earth. And they're repeating the history here on Earth. The only thing is they can't go back to Mars. All right, unless they have some way of terraforming Mars. All right, it's uninhabitable. All right, and so I'm finding myself thinking, gee, what's this new interest in Venus? All right, I mean, we've been told for, oh my goodness, decades that Venus is this hostile, super hot, veiled planet that with the gravity, so that would crush a human being into an atom, just going in there. But suddenly there's this interest there. There's somebody, they know what's going to happen here on the planet. I'm talking about the billionaires, the ones that the rapacious, greedy billionaires that's done this, and in the last. We did this when we came from England and other countries when we started to colonize over here. We did the same thing here as we did to Mars. All right, greed grabbed up everything and then raped the earth and polluted the waters and the atmosphere. It's all over again. And the same creeps who are probably direct descendants are now preparing to leave this planet again.
So you're saying the aliens
and quickly left behind.
The aliens themselves were the original breakaway civilization, and now it's happening all over again. I like it.
All over again because it's in their genetics. Greed is what they are. There's those aliens that came down here, escaped from Mars, were sociopaths. All right. Only interested in themselves. What else could they be if they would enslave, animals? And then that wasn't satisfactory enough. All right, they had to make human beings. All right, through doing genetic alterations. That it was frankly that I believe what Zachariah Sitchin theorizes is that it was actually something that one of them did that they were forbidden to do. But that person that one did it. I think this is all being repeated. But the question is, if it's like I'm thinking, and this is all just another repeat of history, even though it's millions of years involved here, where this planet's being destroyed, and another set of billionaires are going to escape. Where are they going to escape to? This idea of Mars is, like I said, it's impossible unless they can terraform it. All right, I don't know if they have that secret technology or not, but if they could have terraformed Mars, they could terraform this planet. Maybe that's what they're doing with those, with those, what do they call those streaks across the sky? I don't know. But, yeah, I think that's what's going on. I think history is repeating itself.
Okay, and so there's a ton of merit to this ancient alien theory, in your opinion. And so what about the show? So clearly there's a bunch of stuff on there that's kind of not compelling, let's say, and I'm being polite. So how do you feel about that? Even though maybe you believe that to be the case in the long term, what about these shows where they just kind of put a bunch of fake stuff out there? How does that make you feel? Is it kind of confusing?
Well,
Go ahead.
I think that's why the UFO. What was the name of that show? Mr. Strange, the one with the guy from Pentagon. What they call that show?
Unidentified.
Yeah, I think that's why it didn't last, because it didn't make the kind of compromises that Ancient Aliens did. All right, I agree with you. Ancient Aliens, that show, and so they had to stretch and continue to stretch. But that. What was the guy? What's the guy's name? I just can't remember it. That with the unidentified. What was his name?
That's
Lou Elizondo.
Yep, Lou Elizondo. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that.
I think he's an honest man who just could not bring himself to do that. Do what Ancient Aliens did. All right, stretch and stretch and stretch to keep the money coming in. They ran out of stuff. Like you said in some of your programs, they were using old stuff. Stuff was known about for 40, 50 years. They were going back on those. So they really weren't giving us much that was new. And he couldn't. So that's why the show didn't go, because he couldn't stretch it. He couldn't make it up. And he wouldn't make it up.
Which again garners some respect from me. Like I said, I've changed my mind about Lou Elizondo quite a bit, because he won't. It doesn't seem like he's willing to go there. It's frustrating because you have people that will, but when this guy says he worked for the government, if he comes out saying all kinds of like just wacky off the wall stuff, I mean, come on. And nobody's going to believe him then either, He's kind of in a can't-win situation, I think. But I think he's handled it well. In spite of all the things, I think he's handled it pretty well.
So the question then becomes, the descendants from Mars, I think it's just common sense that's where they came from. What are they doing now? If their UFOs still exist, they're still flying around, right, and on this planet, or are they? Or is it like you were saying a few shows ago? Are they interdimensional? I don't know. But I can see that it's really a simple thing. Mars used to be very Earth-like, and then something changed all that. All right, and I believe that these pictures, I've seen some of these pictures that look like there's pyramids on Mars. All right, it looks, you can't say definitively, but it's the old expression my dad used to say: if it walks like a duck, waddles like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And I would say that's where they came from. I don't want to keep going on. I just think that it's history repeating itself, that Mars was destroyed by a bunch of greedy billionaires, right, that didn't, sociopaths. We're going through that now. We've been going through that since the industrial age. And again, now we have the only ones that can afford to trying to, right, but of course we're not going to be with them. And that's the mistake they made when they escaped Mars. They didn't take no laborers with them. They didn't take no regular blue-collar people with them. They just took their own class, and came to this earth. And that's why they had so much trouble for hundreds of years before everything finally settled down.
Okay, all right. I'm with you. I don't know whether I agree with that, but I think it's a pretty good take. And if history does repeat itself, then that means we're just doomed to destroying the Earth, and we are the alien civilization, just kind of destroying things from one planet to the next, which is a little depressing if you ask me. Robert, we're
their bastard children.
Gotcha.
We're their bastard children. I mean, we have their DNA. but the absolutely prime DNA, the adulterated DNA, is in those billionaires. And they're direct descendants from those evil sociopathic Martians that came down here. Some are probably about 1 million years ago.
Right. Okay.
Well, I'm done.
Okay, I appreciate the call. That's Robert
Nice
from
talking with
Pennsylvania. Guys, you too. I'm reading your book. There's some good shit in there, man. There's some good shit in there. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
That tree that owns itself?
Yeah.
That tree that owns itself? That's an actual tree down in Athens, Georgia. All right? When a very wealthy man died there back in, I think it's in the 30s, and he willed that money to that tree to keep that tree going. All right? But then the tree got destroyed in a storm, and now they planted another one, and it's the tree that owns itself, Junior.
Nice. Nice.
If you go to Wikipedia and you look up the tree that owns itself, you'll get a whole history of that.
All right, cool. I appreciate it. Like I said, very good stuff. I appreciate you sending me that book.
That'd be a good 20-minute talk on your show.
Right on. We'll look at that.
There's something spooky about that too.
Yeah, we'll do that at some point. I appreciate it, my man. Thank you, Robert.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate the call. Good shit. So, guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, that's Robert Arend, A-R-E-N-D. He has written a book called The Robert Collection. And, oh, my goodness, the name escapes me. I'll go grab it, and I'll show it off in a little bit. I don't have it right here with me because I was actually reading it in the other room. I'll go grab it in a sec. But hot take on that. I know you heard a bunch of what he was saying there, Paul. What do you think? So, history repeating itself. We've got a breakaway civilization that came from Mars, and the hot take is that we're kind of the bastard descendants there, and here we are trying to maybe buck against that as the billionaires are still kind of destroying things. Interesting stuff there. What do you think?
Very interesting, Mike. I have to say, obviously, Robert has done some research, probably read a few books, much less, being able to write them on this subject. And I think he's, kind of right on the path where everybody else with this mindset is. And with that being said, I think you also said this, do I agree or disagree? There are some very valid points he brings up. But then you have to also look at the theories that are going on, and you have to think, well, could it be? Or it seems to me that when we talk about Mars and the bombshell I want to drop on you tonight is that it gets a little deeper than that, maybe a little farther away, and it also comes to how media works these things. And I think Robert's probably been part of what you and I have been through and seeing this media rhetoric that they're showing us for the last 50 years. I think this is perfect with what he's saying. This has been going on for thousands of years, and we're the bastard childs. Well, I know I'm a bastard child, but, my parents were married. I don't know if that works for me, but I was called a bastard when I was growing up. I hope that's not the wrong word to use, though. I know we're not on the radio. And with that being said, I think it gets deeper than that. I think maybe that this is more evidence where there's somebody else seeing these things that have shown to other people that there's a reason this is happening. And yes, there is evidence, plenty of evidence on Mars to show that there was an advanced civilization there, just like here. So funny, I have a picture on my New Hampshire UFO Hunter site on Facebook that it looks, it's what it is. It doesn't look like it is a foundation, and it's not small. So there's plenty of evidence. It doesn't have to be the face. It doesn't have to be the pyramids. There's plenty of evidence. And it's funny, Robert was talking about that Mars is uninhabitable now. That's a big word to get out. I think recently there were pictures of clouds on Mars. So, and these people that want to travel there, that's kind of the mindset. And I think we have to look at the fact that maybe this thing that's happening and the Akashic record, which has been mentioned on the show we're talking about tonight, Ancient Aliens, there is a lot of bunk out there, but there is also a lot of really good evidence of people with these ideas planted in their heads. And then it goes to media again. These ideas get looked at, and I'm thinking about the movie with Matt Damon where they have that giant spaceship outside of Earth, and Earth's dying, and people are going there. You know, you talk about the meteors hitting Earth, which hasn't happened in over a couple of 100 million years, as far as I know. More evidence.
That's Elysium, right? I think it's the name of that movie.
Yeah, Elysium. Yes, exactly. You've got it. And, District 9, the science fiction kind of rhetoric that's been going around that's training us to realize these things and then teach them to the younger generation and generation and generation. And it all goes back like to Zachariah Sitchin, I guess, because those are the people that might have influenced people like Von Doniket that came with here. But again, we go to it always goes back to the same place here, Mike. We get to the real things that are happening on the Earth, and that's the megalithic structures. And yes, there is plenty of evidence to show that there are weird things going on Mars. And now Robert has a really good point that we're looking to get off this planet because we're destroying it. And that's a whole other point of this thing. Are we ready? Are we ready for this? Are people like Robert and I and you actually training the next generation of people to wake up and see that we need to figure this out energy-wise, environmentally-wise? I don't know where else to go from there because it's pretty, like he said, simple. It's black and white. It's sitting right in front of your face.
It is funny how some things seem so simple and they're anything but. We got another phone call. How did you hear him? Did you hear him directly through Discord pretty well?
Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, great. Yeah, great.
I fixed it.
Yeah.
So there was a noise gate.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah.
Nice. There was a native noise gate in Discord that was chopping out the calls. That's what it was. And they added that, those bastards. They didn't tell me. And so they turned it on automatically. I was going through the settings last night. I was like, this is probably it. Nice. I'm glad it works. Okay, so you'll be able to hear Beechwood.
Wait, it was your fault, not mine then, all right?
Yeah, totally. It's always my fault. It's all good, bro.
I know. Yeah, okay.
All right, let's go to Beechwood in Massachusetts. What's up, my friend? You're on Trouble Minds with Mike and Paul. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing awesome.
Right on.
I listened to the other shows earlier, and because I missed them this week. I wanted to call last night, but weird stuff's been happening in my house, and my phone disappeared, reappeared, but I listened to the shows. It was pretty cool. But, what I look at, like, right now, like an Oreo. I got aliens on one side, I have angels on one side, and we're sitting right in the middle, right in the cream, and life is good. And you have to pick. But the show, Ancient Aliens, it's a good show. Astronaut. I mean, I think it's just entertainment, though. But I think there's some sort of alien intervention for sure. Because I'm more interested in, like, the origins of the Earth. So there was a Big Bang. Now, these are all theories. Like, they can't actually prove there was a Big Bang. I mean, something happened. Nobody was there. But there was a Big Bang and everything went everywhere. So the other day when we ran over the can of paint, there was a Big Bang and it went everywhere. And it was a little different, but it was all the same paint. So I assume that there's civilizations all over the place. So I question if there was like alien intervention here, where did those aliens come from? So you could do that all day, and then you end up at religion, that there's some sort of creationism. And I go back and forth on them. But, it's when I look at, like, the history of the Earth, if you look through science, like, we know there was dinosaurs, we know there's been mass extinctions. When you go back even further, life kind of started from, like, single-celled organisms, probably in the ocean. in the water, and eventually they say evolved, crawled onto land, and, you know, turned into all sorts of different things, which I do believe, like a horseshoe crab has been around for like 400 million years and hasn't changed. Hasn't changed at all. It's been the same exact way for that long. And there's just a massive gap in our evolution with how smart we got, how fast. And then I look at just everyday life, at the way we live, the structures we build, and the things that we like. I'm a painter. People like things attractive in a certain way, and it has to be that way. Like that's such a massive part of their lifestyle, and we're all just creatures on a planet. There's just so much excessive stuff in the way we live, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
It makes me think that at some point there was some sort of intervention.
Yeah, like I can buy that it's just not, history isn't as cut and dry as it seems to be, as we seem to make it. I know you can hear him now, Paul. Any takes on that for Beechwood, now that I know you are fully functional over there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I think you're seeing more of evidence with people that have come forward and said, well, I've seen these things. And then we talk about the old school, the millions of years that it took this planet to come online. And now here we are, and it's just going to take more time for people to figure this out without having to watch Ancient Aliens or them showing it to their kids. Is what's happening now. Now we're here at the point where there's 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds talking about this. And it's kind of crazy that it's that simple and that these things have happened, where we are the anomaly on this planet. And the second thing is, we're talking about intelligent design. This couldn't have been, crazy. This couldn't have been creepy. This is, I wanted to bring this up when he started, to remind you that there's things that are going on, like, that can't be explained other than somebody did this, and that somebody started this path of where we're at right now.
Go ahead, Beechwood.
Yeah, man, that was a good take. I couldn't hear it great, but I heard most of it.
Damn it!
And
damn it! I'm trying to get it all perfectly working, and something's always freaking broken. All right, so sorry.
It
sorry,
was pretty good, though.
I appreciate that. Go ahead, sir.
But we're talented creatures. At least we perceive ourselves as talented. We are. We have amazing skills compared to everything else. Yet we're not at all well adapted to survive in the environment without our tools. To go out into the woods with nothing at all and try to survive is very few people can do it for a long period of time. The guy wrote a book on it. He said how we've lost that primalness in our survival. That we need shelter, we need tools. They can be simple, but we still need them. We can't tooth and claw our way to survival. So. Yeah, evolution, it could have happened that fast, but I know there's aliens and there's multiple dimensions, and I'm actually the most wanted person in Dream World. That's why I didn't call last night, because they're trying to catch me. But, I had it's a little off topic, but, I don't like to talk a lot of politics, man, but I have an uncle, he's retired Secret Service. He's been retired for a long time, and he's all into politics, and he's never been wrong with his predictions. And he would never even entertain the idea of a conspiracy theory, even entertain it. And he talked to my aunt the other day, who I talk to every day, and he's saying he's all bought on the conspiracy theory. He called it the pandemic. Yeah, and he's usually right. He said there's something going on. He said there's no parties. He said he thinks it's like generational, leadership. But he's never bought a. If you can get him to bite on something like that, you gotta. At least me, I know nobody knows him, but at least I kind of raise an eyebrow and say, "Wow." But
they got to him, Beechwood. They got to him.
I really got for tonight.
I appreciate the call, my friend. Beechwood from Massachusetts. Thanks for sharing. I hope everything's well with you. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, my man. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it, bro. There you go. Sorry about that. I thought we were all perfectly fixed with our with our technology, and no. Well, what can you do? All right, Kelly's posted a bunch of great pictures in Discord, so I'll share those on the stream. And all right, so the thing is this: I mean, really, really good takes from all parties involved tonight. But the question tonight is that exactly what we're talking about, what we're thinking about is this whole ancient astronaut theory. All right, and is it pseudoscience? Is it real? Is there some something to this? Right? And I kind of like the so notice how Beechwood stated there's some sort of generational leadership here, and that's basically what Robert said. But Robert basically took generational to be millions of years. Curious, eh? So
very curious.
Maybe we're onto something here. So we're not on the radio tonight, so we don't have to do breaks or anything. So what we're going to do is just keep on trucking. So like I said, if you want to take a break at any point, you let me know, and we're just going to roll, bro. We're going to roll. We've got another caller. Let's go to Ash. Ash, the reptilian from Mars. Earth to Ash. Are you there?
Hello. Hear me?
What's up, buddy? Loud and clear from Mars. How are you?
Good. I've been sitting in the caller queue for a little bit, and I guess my last friend in Discord was really quiet, and Discord's really loud. So when you pulled me in there, you actually scared me, and I almost fell out of my chair. So
nice.
Anyway,
boom.
Yeah, I'm wide awake now. I'm ready to go.
Nice.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good. Doing our thing, man. How are you, Paul? What's up, buddy?
I'm here, Ash, and I was just wondering if you heard me, because when I talk, the green thing comes on. Still getting used to this thing, so yeah, I got to say something about what Robert just said too. By the way, so funny. He said it generational, and you know what? You got to live in the woods. You need some hair. I want to steal Michael Strange's hair because I have none, and I think that Beechwood knows what I'm talking about. So good to hear you, Ash.
What's up? Hey, are we in the third hour?
No, we're not on the radio, though. So the entire show is the third hour tonight.
Ah, well, shit, Mike. You fix it for him, but you don't fix it for me?
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta stay for a whole year? He comes on, and you fix it for him right away? I see how it is.
I have not sworn once, you assholes. Oh, damn it. I just blew my streak.
Now we did it. Now we've done it.
Oh, damn it.
There's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy to make Ash not be able to hear well on the Discord.
Some tells me it's gonna get good now, by the way. I'm talking into my phone when I have a mic under me. What am I doing? All right, let's go. Back to you, host.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in and you guys are talking about ancient astronaut theory, on the I'll be up late, a little high on the Mars geyser, and then scrolling through the channels, and at like 2 a.m, the crazy stuff starts coming on. But I actually didn't know about it for a long time, and it came on. And I was like, wow, this is on mainstream TV. This is kind of the stuff I view at YouTube, I go down the YouTube rabbit hole. But one of the things that is important thing for people to kind of really understand is that science is trying to tackle this right now, and it's funny to see mainstream science tackle something and just be so oblivious to the possibilities around it. And the one thing that they found is that our brain size used to be a certain size for tens, hundreds of thousands of years. And then suddenly, over a very short period of time, it doubled, which gives us our capacity for thinking that we have today. And they were doing tests, and they figured out that it was actually one gene edit, just one gene, that that actually gave us our explosive intelligence. And so what they did was they put this in monkeys, and they let it run, and they canceled the monkeys at a certain stage, but they got to see it, and it was responsible for like all these things for making this intelligence, which basically is like, you know, they didn't say it, but it's like pretty obvious that someone just put that in. You can throw that into any animal, I think, based on what I saw. You know, you could just do it to dogs. You could do it to cats. You could do it to, you know, they did it to a monkey, and they made them a conscious being. So I always wondered, I've been wondering ever since, you know, is this something, you know, when we meet other aliens, are they just other species on other planets that got the same edit, right? And if we all have the same edit, are we kind of all family? Are we all kind of sharing some sort of intelligence, a similar intelligence? I don't know, but man, one edit, that doesn't seem very likely that a gene could just develop in a few generations to do all that. And I mean, and it was a tremendous amount of things that it did. It created a nervous system. It accelerated the amount of brain cells that were being produced, but you couldn't just do that. You had to like increase certain capacities. It's pretty complex, all the things that it does, but it's just one gene. So I thought that was pretty hilarious, you know, that and then they just danced around it, and they're like, oh, scientists are still trying to figure out how this happened. It's like there's no way it could happen naturally. So anyway, have you guys heard about that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So Ash, kind of funny, you know, I went right there in my mind what you were talking about with the fact that you know, this DNA structure has been changed over time, and we're the only, like I said, an anomaly on this planet, and yet you have all the same DNA structure. So to me, I think you have to get in not only the ancient alien theory, but the zoo theory. There's another good, you know, another show you can do, is the fact that we were all put here, this planet, and then you get back to what Robert's call about Mars. And, well, I don't know if it was billionaires on Mars, because Bill Gates seems to be doing all right, even though he's going through a divorce. And, here we are on this planet with all these animals, all these species that Beechwood brought up from Massachusetts, saying that, you know, hey, you know, how do we survive in the wild? And we can't. By the way, here we're the anomaly. Where's the smartest thing? Throw your butt out in the woods tonight in New Hampshire, and I guarantee if you haven't watched Naked and Afraid for, you know, a couple of shows, you're going to either figure out you're not going to make it and get scared, or you're going to figure out how to survive. And some of these creatures on this planet don't have to think about that, yet we do. I mean, great point, Ash. And I think that, again, we're the anomaly. You said it. There's this one little tiny genome that has been picked up out of all these creatures on this planet, and we are the anomaly. So where do we go from here? It's obvious. It's black and white. Is it religion, or is it extraterrestrial?
Yeah, and how oh yeah no and it's just you know, there's the Prometheus movie, you know, the Alien franchise. They had this Prometheus movie, and a lot of people describe that movie as pretentious, and the reason is because instead of exploring these aliens, they try to explore the origin. Well, in that movie, trying to like intelligently explain it, we're trying to find our creators, right? And figure out why they created us. And in the meantime, we create an AI being. And then that creates the aliens. So it's like, and there's contempt. It shows that there's contempt for your creators. It's kind of like you never want to meet your
maker.
No, when you're a fan of someone, don't meet your hero. Never meet your heroes, right? That's the saying. And but meeting your maker, maybe it's a disappointing thing. Maybe the reason is like not good, right? So supposedly in the Anunnaki story, we were slaves, right? Like that's what was created. We were created to be a workforce, but that doesn't take away from how special humanity is, right? And there must be something special because they come here, they do these abductions, they do all this weird stuff. They come here, and in the remote viewing circles, a lot of when they remote view extraterrestrials, civilizations, and they say, hey, what are they looking at? They're all looking at here. Like, this is the place. Like, this is where shit's going down. So, I don't know. At the very least, we're a very interesting reality TV show. And I don't know. I think humans are special, and I think that we probably have a lot of things that make us unique. And yeah, and then you go back through the history, ancient astronauts, and all that stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to come in and just kind of point out the gene edit thing specifically, and kind of contribute as a caller, feel what it's like to be on this side, and maybe I'll just talk about my nipples or something. I don't know.
Sure. How do you have?
Yeah.
Only two, or are there more than that?
Which side? My front or my back?
Well, shit. Let's do the alien anatomy lesson. Let's do it. Yeah, good stuff, man. I appreciate it. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. So it's a weird show because we're off the radio entirely because they got some technical issues going on. So it's basically the third hour for the entire show. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We got all kinds of stuff. We got time for you guys if you want to be a part of the show. It's up to you, Ash. Like I said, you're welcome to stay. You know how to get in the channel or leave if you want. I'm not going to run you out of here. I am going to announce that the looks like the Vegas Golden Knights have moved on and they've beat the Colorado Avalanche in a 6-3 barn burner. After dropping the first two games, they came back and won 4 straight. Can you believe that? Holy smackerel. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. There's the sports update for the night. Yeah, good shit. But yeah, so okay, so back to ancient astronaut theory and that whole bit. Like I always say, there's a lot of evidence, right? There's a lot of evidence, and so it's up to us to really decide which part of the evidence is compelling enough to consider to talk about, right? And with this, it goes so deep. You can go back again, with the Sitchin stuff. The Anunnaki, we've talked about it 750 million years ago. The way station on Mars, like Robert was saying. Robert, you missed the call, Ash, I think, unless you were listening when Robert called earlier. And he said that he thinks that the breakaway civilization is actually from the other side and came from Mars to here. And the same psychopaths that ran Mars and destroyed it are here now running the Earth as the overlords, as you might describe them as alien or whatever you want to say. But we're just kind of the hybridized working force that they created when they came here. So that's an interesting way to put it. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, I've actually heard that theory quite a bit, and there's a couple of different ways that could be executed. That's really interesting. I mean, the remote viewers found that Mars got nailed one way or another, and it used to, I think I heard Robert mention that it was habitable at one point. It's an interesting theory, right? In that whoever they are, the others, as Tom DeLonge would say, they've been just kind of waiting and biding their time for some sort of global infrastructure. Do you guys feel this? Do you feel like there's a third party waiting for humanity to be globally connected enough that they can kind of infiltrate or kind of reel it in? It feels like that, right? And that's kind of like the agenda, and we're moving very quickly toward it, this technocracy thing. And that I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's like some dude in a cave twiddling his thumbs and he's just been waiting. Or maybe he's been generation to generation. Maybe some of these bloodlines, these ancient people are like, yeah, we're actually from Mars.
Yeah, that would be me.
Oh, sorry. I'm bowing down to you now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's what it is. I mean, these people have been going through this for years, for 50,000 years, for 100,000. I mean, when was the last time we talked about the 1700s is when they started to discover some of the things that are out there, and we're still talking about it today. So I think it's more than about, millionaires, but maybe human beings getting along with each other, maybe, the end of wars, free energy, the things that, you talk about disclosure. Mike brought that up earlier, and the fact that ancient aliens kind of puts that off. Well, that's the whole point of this. We've got all this information. We all know what's really going on, but yet we still go to the same place. And that's a political war, a military complex. China's going to invade Taiwan, and here we are. talking about, well, the pyramids, who built them?
Yeah, you tell me. That's a good one. We got what's up? Mary in the chat says the Tower of Babel, and I think that's misspelled intentionally, making fun of us. That's okay. We love you too. The love goes back the other way too. The internet got Babel. But no, okay. So all of that, like, who knows? Like, this is part of it. Is that I've always said this, and this is completely true. Go, like, literally. The odd thing about like academics is like they're very specialized, and that's a good thing. But it's also that, you know, like an archaeologist kind of doesn't take the time to realize that we're working with, you know, 0.1% of all the things we could ever find out there. And so a lot of the things, right? So history, of course, is based on letters, people sending letters to each other. And, you know, there's some definite, like, I'm not saying history's fake, but what I am saying is that for us to make definitive claims about we know everything about history is just, it's foolhardy. It's like saying, you know, trust the science because the science is never wrong. Well, that's not what science is. That's politics. That's BS, right? It's science changes as the data changes. And so, you know, as again, part of this conversation, that's what this is about. But anyway, let's get into the rest of this stuff. There's more here. So there's
to just real quick off that point, and something that's super relevant right now is we talked about the lab leak theory before anyone was even talking about COVID. Remember, we were like, it's from that lab, and I was literally we were sharing the Umbrella Corp memes, and so we weren't allowed to talk.
The whole world was saying that. I mean, if you watched any kind of news, they were all talking about that. So this is more proof in the pudding of what I've been saying all along for 20 plus years. Is that, you know, it's a nonstop political barrage of bullshit. I can say that now. I forgot. And to get to the point where we can go, you know, wow, we were right. You mean, oh my God, we were right? Yeah, and you know, that's why we're bringing this evidence. You know, I think, Ash, anybody that doesn't want to know that isn't going to see it because they're watching CNN and not Newsmax or Fox or what, and at least getting more information from other places and not reading the New York Times because that's where we're at.
And we're kind of like veered into these lanes where we're allowed to talk about this and allowed to talk about that. And so, like, you know, when we have these fringe conversations, it's interesting, you know, we'll talk about stuff and then 3 years later, people are like talking about it. And it's like, you know, it is frustrating to be kind of corralled into these, like, these troughs of a loud conversation.
And it gives you goosebumps, huh? Yeah, kind of pisses you off, kind of makes you want to talk about it, and maybe you want to rant once in a while.
Yeah, like a Mike rant. Mike, woof, you poke Mike enough.
I want to hear a Mike rant. I do. Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I'm still on my first. Still on my first whiskey. I can't really rant yet.
Yeah, he needs another shot. That's what we need.
I love it. Yeah. Michael apologized and be like, "Oh man, that was great. You do your thing, bro."
Sorry, guys, I did it again. Geez. Yeah. All right. So let's go to this article here. Just so let's since we got Ash, if you want to stay, you're welcome. Like I said, let's look at some of this. This is again, take the sources for what they are. If you want to forehead smack and say this source is garbage, I'm okay with that because I understand where that's coming from. This is from a website called Proof of Alien. And they say the top 10 evidence that the ancient astronaut proof theory, right? The ancient it's already like poor grammar, which drives me nuts. But anyway, so here we go. The ancient texts and epics talk about craft that could fly in the air. Humans of the ancient era had technical knowledge to build anything that could fly in the air, and hence they didn't have it, and hence it must be the alien spacecraft that has been mentioned about these in ancient texts like the Indian epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. So there we go. There's one. What do you got? What's your take on that? Just to kind of go through some of the
I got something here before Ash goes off here. Listen, it's kind of simple here. We go back to Sakaro. We look at one of the things that was on the first Ancient Aliens. One of the things that Von Donigan talked about, the Sakaro bird, and it was what it was. It was a plane. Okay, these people were building long before the Wright brothers. They had evidence of technology that was far beyond what we use today. There were aerodynamic designs. And then it happens again in Bolivia where they're finding small little things that are showing up in the dirt that look like space shuttles. And it's not only just there, it's all over the world. You see pictures, you see carvings, you see things of aerodynamic stuff that, now all of a sudden we're talking about the F-18, which is the fastest plane we have, which can't touch the stuff they're showing on the news right now. Is it disinformation? Is it fear-mongering? I don't know. But again, another subject. Don't want to get off path. But I think the evidence is there. And I think if you guys studied that, you also know that.
Yeah, well, so not only that, there's the whole little Sakura, the little bird.
The Sakura bird, from the Saqqara, exactly, from the pyramids.
I don't know how to say it, but I do know that the Tsoukalos guy, Giorgio, he wears it on his, as like a, part of his suit, it's like the little thing, and I don't know, right? Like, I mean, to me, that's pretty decently compelling. That looks like it does look like a damn airplane. I just don't think you can deny that. And so,
no, and Mike, not only that, you look at the same area, they had turtles that were carved in stone that are thousands of years old. Those are turtles. They look like spaceships. You look at Teotihuacan, you look at the pyramids where they have flat landing areas. They're using mica underneath these things, which were quarried and taken from hundreds of miles away through jungles to build these incredibly impressive pyramids. And the thing is that you have to put it all together in a little kind of breadcrumb pile. You look at Teotihuacan, where it looks like a landing strip. You look at the Great Pyramid, and the key there is that, they're both the same exact size at the base. You look at Christopher Dunn's book, that this could have been a power plant, and that's what Teotihuacan looks like. And like I said, it goes to the mica, the carvings that they're showing of these craft, a landing pad, perhaps. I mean, this could all be, maybe just conjecture, but there is so many weird things going on here that it kind of makes sense that when you actually look at that turtle and that little pin that Tsoukalos wears and the Saqqara bird coming from Egypt, all over the world, these things are happening at ancient times. So this can't be coincidence.
And I think just to throw it out there, if you guys haven't seen that actual Ancient Aliens episode, they do build a to-scale recreation of that bird and fly it. And the thing is like aerodynamically sound and actually glides. So I think, once again, right, like at the very least, I think if we're going back in time and trying to determine what the old schoolers, right, our ancient civilizations knew about science, I think that it's probably grossly underrepresented at the very least. I think we can say that without going down the rabbit hole of like Atlantis and Lemuria and all these other things.
I was about to do that.
Okay, go ahead.
I was literally getting ready to say Atlantis. No, there was, they're finding out that there was a catastrophe. There was like the Great Flood that's talking about in all these different cultures. And if that thing was as ferocious as it was claimed, it would strip everything off the ground. And the only things that would be left are these stone structures. So beyond these stone structures, like, who knows what was around them, right? What other advanced things were around these monoliths, and that like you mentioned, that are propagate throughout all these different cultures, all over these different lands, and there's no way that they were in communication to like reproduce this pattern. So something's amiss, right? There's some sort of other property or faction or something that kind of unites all these things together that we don't really have access to anymore for whatever reason. And that I've actually never heard of this flying bird, ancient bird thing. It's really interesting. I'll have to watch some more of that.
Are you serious?
That's pretty cool. No, I have no idea what you guys are talking talking about.
Sakara bird, man. It's like there's some of the best evidence ever. When you look, he's got it up right now on the page. When you're looking at the Quimbaya airplane that came from Bolivia, I believe it was, and then the Sakara bird came from Egypt at one of the older pyramids, which, by the way, if you look at the age of these things, you're going to find out, if you do some real research, that the Great Pyramids are told to be the oldest or the newest pyramids, where you're looking at Saqqara and the pyramid in Saqqara, where they were unearthing these things. And these are the older pyramids. They were built after, just like I have to go to Central America, Brazil, Machu Picchu, where they have stones that have just been there forever that are molded, and you can't put a human hair, no mortar. And not only that, tens of tons. And they can't figure out how they did it. And then you have the Aztecs moving in later, and the older archaeology sites that were built after Machu Picchu and are still dated to 2,000 years. Now, let's face it, guys. The thing is, you can't date these things because they're so old. There's no carbon dating available to this. And if you look at the scientists, the guys that are labeled as crazy and wrote those books like von Doniget, and some of them are very well renowned, they get to the point where, well, you have no evidence. And I think it's just because it's not worthy of what you want to hear right now. But it's starting to come out, and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, so Ash, these are actually little artifacts that are shaped like, they're not really, like, they're kind of a mix between like a bird and an insect, but they're aerodynamically sound. They look like they have like rudders and wings and like actually modern airplanes. It's crazy. Anyway, curious, you've never seen or heard that. That's probably like Paul's saying, like the claim to fame of ancient aliens. It's like, well, what is this, guys? It looks like a damn space shuttle. I mean, let's be real, right? It kind of does. Yeah, it kind of does.
Black and white, guys.
There's so much mystery to our past, and this planet's so old. And it's like, look, if there's an advanced species that's even just one that's like millions of years ahead of us, they keep tabs here. And sometimes, just some college kids could come here and just change the fate of our planet forever, right? Like one alien could come here. So it's a really crazy and complex universe we live in, and who knows? And I think as a whole, humanity's becoming just starting to become aware of itself and its place, and hopefully we'll learn more. Hopefully Bleep Blop 5 will show up. Give us some ancient DVDs, and we can go back and look. Maybe some answers will be solved. Till then, I guess we'll have to keep figuring it out. And these are the conversations that are important, right? To make these things culturally appropriate, to give these scientists and these archaeologists and stuff the bravery they need. But I'm going to dip. So I'm going to plug before I tip. My name's Ash. I'm here on Wednesdays usually. This week I had a human uprising I had to put down. But I'm Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Please check out my YouTube channel. It's featured in the Discord and a couple other places. It's really great to call in. Good stuff. And thanks for having me on. So I hope you guys have a good night.
Appreciate it, bro. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for stepping in and saying hi. And check out this thing on the stream as you take off. It looks like a damn space shuttle, bro. It's an ancient artifact. Appreciate it, man.
So, Ash.
Always a pleasure, man. Have a good night, guys.
You as well. Catch you later. All right. So if you're just joining us, guys, we are kind of now going into the third hour here, which typically means that we're going to start dropping F-bombs and acting like fools. But, well, we've already been doing that. So, like we're extending the third hour to the rest of the show tonight because we're not on the actual radio. So, you got to behave yourself. You can't be dropping F-bombs on the radio and all that stuff. So what we're going to do is let's take a quick break just because it is a long show. People need to go, let the dog out or tuck the kids in, top off their drink, that sort of thing. So if you're listening, we're talking about ancient aliens tonight, and not just like, the Giorgio Tsoukalos Ancient Aliens, the television show. We're talking about the theory itself, right? The ancient astronaut theory, as it's called. And so, it's one thing to ask us what we think, but it's more important to know what you think. What is the general consensus on this? Do you guys believe that because of artifacts like this, the bird, whatever's going on here with it looks like the space shuttle. Do you think there's something to this, or do you think it's people wishing to see something that's not there? Again, I'm all for both sides of this equation because it's what makes a good conversation. I do believe we can agree or disagree and still have a good time and hang out together, not hate each other like the mainstream media tries to make us do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play some music here for just a sec as we do our thing, and we're going to bounce out for just a 2-minute break. We got a phone call coming in. We'll take that in just a sec. You want to plug your channel real quick before we hit the music there, Paul?
Hey guys, yeah, Paul here. Check me out on UFO, New Hampshire UFO Hunter on YouTube and Facebook. I got some pretty good UFO footage. It's actually modern day and real. So you might want to check it out on YouTube.
There you go. And we'll be back in just 2-minute break, basically. We're going to step out and do our thing, and, everybody hit the restroom or do what you got to do. We do have a phone call coming in, so stay on the phone. Don't go anywhere. I see you there. We'll come back to you as soon as we come back, Mr. Mission Control. And everybody else, phone lines are open to you if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And I'm going to play some outro music, because why the hell not? It's about 2 minutes long. 2-minute break. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. We're here with Paul, the New Hampshire UFO Hunter. Don't go anywhere. More talk about ancient aliens and the ancient astronaut theory right after the break. 2 minutes. We will be right back.